another episode with the Modern Framily, where we talk about all things friends, family, parenting, marriage, all the things in between. I am joined with, there are 8 of us right now.
Hi, guys.
8 of us. Everyone say hello.
JD 9.
JD 9.
That's awkward. There's 9.
Oh, sorry, you're right. That's so true. Birdie, how many days out of the womb?
Okay, I counted this morning. She's 17 or 18?
17 days on Earth, out of the womb. She is joining us for her first ever podcast.
Her debut.
She might already be on one of the season technically, but we're recording this kind of out of order because you can imagine trying to get 22 people, babysitters, all of us together. And we were like, if we want to actually have a season, we have to record everything on the same day. So we are knocking out today the entire season, like the first season, in one day. Everyone has kid sitters. It's been wild. But obviously Birdie, she's joining us. She's here all day. She's out here grinding from the start.
Yeah.
But this episode is going to kind of be, in a way for us, me and Jenna, a little selfish because...
A spotlight, actually.
Yeah, a little spotlight because when this releases, it will be the 1-year anniversary of us living in Austin.
Which is crazy because it feels so short and then so long at the same time.
Yeah, we've been here. We started kind of this as a dream like years ago. I would say for me, the reason why I asked these people to be in this episode in particular is because I feel like, again, when you're talking about the dynamics of, our total friend groups, like not even everyone that's a part of like quote unquote the Modern Framily is like, we have such a widespread friend group. And out of that, as you can imagine, there are just different dynamics. And I would say for us, y'all are kind of our core community within the community. I think everyone has that where like, it's kind of impossible to be friends like equally with 40 people. So you really got to fight to like be intentional with a few. And obviously going to college with you guys, all of you, the wives included, we all went to SFA. And then Britt and Lauren, just by way of relationship, have been huge like community in our lives this year. And so these are kind of the people that we talked like, hey, like who do we feel like has been through this journey with us
or played a part into the decision beforehand?
Yeah, like they kind of helped us in deciding to come here. It was you guys. And so thanks.
Thanks for being here,
except to Lauren, which we'll get to in a second. Because Lauren's the only person who told us maybe we shouldn't.
This is so soon.
No. Okay, so this episode is titled, like, we turned down a dream job to live near our friends.
We're going to tell you why.
Oh, good, Jenna. I like that. A little teaser.
Professional.
So basically, I think we should first start kind of like a little bit about a backstory on our marriage and where we were at. So we got married. We were the last. There's still people getting married in our friend group, but out of the college roommates, last ones to get married. Y'all had already been through, like, you're having kids, all of that. I was like the slow one, but met Jenna, knew instantly. We can get into that another day. We should do a season where every couple has their own episode.
That story?
Yeah, they all tell their love story.
That's good. All I'll say is praise God for Jenna, because there for a while I was like, JD, somebody's going to have to be able to put up with this, man. Jenna,
Thank you
do
for
a great
giving
job.
me the credit.
Yeah.
I deserve no kidding.
So I met Jenna, and I knew when I was single, like, man, when I find the one, I want to get this thing going. We got married on the 1-year anniversary of meeting. We got pregnant 8 months into marriage. We're on our second already, 3 years married. But now I would say it's taken 3 years for us to really, I would say we're like the healthiest we've ever been. And our first year, I mean, y'all weren't even a part of it. We lived in Dallas, and hardest year, I mean,
I would agree. They always say, like,
I mean, I'm sure y'all's first year marriage was amazing, right? Like everyone's first year.
Yeah,
ours was dope.
So yours has gone down, or
no, it's still amazing. But
yeah,
we were in college, so it was like everything was pretty chill.
Yeah, Aaron was living the time of his life.
Yeah. Go ahead. What were you saying? Oh, I thought you were saying something about our first year. Our first year of marriage, like for me, it was we just had so much we hadn't figured out. And not only that, but we were doing it alone, pretty much. Like that was the biggest difference between now and then is we had no like friends. We had no community. Married.
I would say in Austin, we were one of the last people to get married, but in our friend group in Dallas, we were kind of the first.
We were the only married people in our friend group.
So we hung out with a ton of single people, which is great. I am a big proponent of like when you get married, still hang out with your single friends, like don't ditch them. But in our season of life, we were the only ones who really got married. And so we did have friends, but as in terms of like married community, we didn't necessarily have that, which is just so important, especially your first year of marriage. So
yeah, I feel like too, like trying to process marriage problems with single people, they're like, are y'all getting a divorce? Like, and it's like, oh no, this is just like, Tuesday.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's just a Tuesday.
Yeah, this is another argument. But it really was like, and I remember us always seeing on Instagram and just different, just being friends, like you guys, and like, oh, like that's what we knew we needed it, but it felt like impossible. I can't explain it. It felt like there was like, how are we ever going to actually, we tried, remember?
Yeah.
Like we tried I was constantly making visits like, oh, I think there might be something. And like, we toured the neighborhood.
I mean, there was like multiple job opportunities that you were like talking to people about, considering, and it was just like, it kind of like those doors always closed. Yeah.
Yep. But we went through our first year, 7 months in, hardest season of our marriage, like set right out of the gates. And it was like, not just even about our marriage. It was like so many things in life, like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And all we had was each other, which was like, we couldn't run, which was good. But at the same time, like, I just think about how different that season would have been if we had this. But it was always something, I want to start by saying, I feel like there's people out there that maybe are in a similar place. Like they're looking for friends. Like I meet so many young married people that are like, I wish, or like, we need more friends. And so I guess I want to just open the floor for anyone who wants to speak first, and just saying like, how do y'all, as we were away, we were like looking at y'all as like the example, like how did that even, like why, like how did y'all find each other? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'll start if y'all are cool with that. I mean, so we talked about this in the college roommate episode, and like how community for Addie and I was such and Connor and Brooke, it was such an important thing that we, grew up in some ways, in some respect. And so when we came to Austin, that was such an important piece of like, we even had a 6-month, 8-month season that was really difficult coming out of school. It was our second year of marriage, and it was challenging, especially like financially. And we just like were longing for friendship. And so I think naturally, as we connected with community and, more people, we got a community group going, it was like, okay, like we started feeling like life again to some degree, because I think we're communal beings. Like there's a reason we crave that. And so then as, Connor and Brooke came in, and then we met Britt and Lauren, it was just something we were all prioritizing, is like, we want to make sure that we're living life together and not just like being acquaintances.
So you two were also later on into like becoming part of the group. Because I feel like there are probably some similarities in y'all. What would you describe your state of marriage before community?
I was just, as I was listening to y'all, I was like, I think I've gotten used to this because this is like what we know. And it took y'all saying that to be like, oh my gosh, I remember what it was like trying to do this alone. And I also want to say I made like multiple phone calls to Addie. Like we were fresh friends. I don't know why you're still friends with me, but we were a mess our first year.
It was bad. Yeah.
It was bad. And even we entered this community like in a pretty rough state, I would say.
Do you mean like arguing, or like what do you mean?
Yeah, our marriage
Just
was in turmoil.
all levels. Yeah. And kind of back to what you were saying earlier, when you don't have the married people around you, like that community, and people that are single, they can speak into it the best that they can, but it's just different. Like being around people that are living life the way that you're wanting to, and also currently just in those same seasons, dealing with those same struggles. like we can try to process as best we can.
But when you're bouncing things off of like your single friends,
yeah,
or, like,
single
people
friends
who aren't
are
chasing the same things and like as you,
and even like parents sometimes too. Like they definitely can help, but it's just different phases of life, and like you're currently in it, and that was something that we weren't doing well, was trying to like bounce things off of each other and figure things out in the moment.
we were also young. I mean, y'all were really young, but I was young. You were not.
All right.
We were like
old guy in the group.
It's not that far.
I look back and all I can think of is like we were just pretty immature. Like spiritually, we were immature,
Absolutely.
and it just affected our marriage a whole bunch. But that was like when we entered the community, and so it took them saying that to be like to go back to that. Like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I just don't want to take this for granted because it's like we're just so used to it now, and that's like what we know. And anyways,
So I guess one last thing for y'all, and then we'll go back to us. Like when you've been doing that alone, and we'll speak to this too, it can be uncomfortable to now let people see like your toxic behavior.
I can't.
It was
I'm in
that
there.
for me.
How do you, because I bet you were like, I'm calling Addie, and I bet you were like, why are you telling people our stuff?
Yeah,
I got
business.
pissed. Like, like
Yeah, he could say piss.
it really, I was
We
not.
don't cuss anymore, Britt.
Yeah, we don't say that. Clearly, we still have room for growing.
Making notes.
She'll be calling Addie after this.
No.
now.
Yeah.
To be clear, we are a Framily podcast, but
Yeah.
you can. It's okay.
Sorry, guys. I apologize. I was
Also,
very.
I wasn't around
upset.
Britt when I called. I literally drove to a gas station parking lot. I was so, like in a different city. I
She
don't
thinks
know.
that I didn't know any of this stuff, and it was clear as day what she was doing.
I
but,
also,
yeah.
I don't know if this is like too soon or too deep, but I literally remember the words I said to her. I go, "Did I marry the wrong person?"
Hey, we've all. Come on. It's okay.
You said it to me too.
In the midst
so-
I did it. We have 4 kids
Yeah.
now. We're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something I will say about that is for me, if I'm friends with somebody, it's like you're stuck with me, kind of. Like
Mhm.
I'm a very loyal person. And I think it took Britt like getting to know me and knowing that unconditional friendship where like he would find out that Lauren had called me about something. And I remember one time you texted me and you're like, can we still sit by you at church? I was like, I already saved you a seat. What are you talking
That's
about?
really sweet.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't like, we're friends for life. Like we're in the messy together.
Len,
And
let's be honest, there's some funny stories. One that involves some stairs that we're not going to get into. That
That was
Yeah,
the
we don't have
text.
time.
Yeah.
Next time,
Let's just say that.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
so
loyal.
what was that process like though? Of like you've been dealing with all this alone, and now you're.
So exposing, like,
Yeah,
you're
like,
sharing all your
what
mess space.
did you just like? It sounds like it was harder.
It was super hard for me. I just wasn't mature enough to like understand like the possibilities of growth there and how those relationships should be treated and how they should be spoken into. And I just didn't understand like the levels
Mhm.
that were needed to like build a quality relationship together and with friends and to grow. And it's like, it's borderline and it's embarrassing now to like think about it. 'Cause it's,
Oh.
I was mad that we were trying to do something different while we were doing something that wasn't working.
Mhm.
So it wasn't smart, but I'm glad that she was persistent and not afraid to reach out to Addie and other girlfriends and even the guys too. Like there was times where the guys like asked me to like go to lunch and just talk. And I remember thinking it was dumb and not necessary. And I was annoyed that she had said something. And I mean, looking back now, it was like obviously so important and so needed, but we just weren't at a stage. I say we, more me, was at a stage where like I just didn't comprehend how important it was.
We
And
just
so
didn't know community. We didn't do
Yeah.
college like y'all did. And we talked about that often. Like we are so jealous of y'all's college experience because we had very different college experiences. Like, I'm not friends with anybody that I went to college with, but we never knew community before this is what I'm
Mhm.
trying to say.
I'll add something too is like we met Britt and Lauren in the parking lot of our apartment and ended up talking to them for 2 hours. But what was cool about it is we were in such close proximity to y'all for like 6 months, right before we moved into houses and stuff. But for 6 months, it was almost like that process moved at a more rapid pace than it would for people that are coming into community that live 20 minutes apart and like only saw each other once a week. We were literally hanging out every night.
Literally.
And so
I
that
miss
I felt like that helped that process go a lot faster of like identifying that, hey, maybe there's maybe part of this is just being raw and being open and vulnerable in ways that you might not be with people that aren't in as close proximity.
Yeah. So let's bring Connor and Brooke in the game. If there's someone listening and they are a Britt and Lauren, how many years ago? 6 years ago. Okay. And y'all are in this community. Y'all know what it's like. What was you could even talk about your personal observation of them coming in, but how do you create, or let's flip it actually. You're the part of the community and a Britt and Lauren come in. How do you create a space to give them that space to learn community? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think, and you can share as well, but the timing is interesting because we joined like a couple months after, because I was living in Dallas. And so I already had the relationship with Aaron. So we obviously it was immediate.
Jumped right in.
Yeah. And I think that we've obviously brought in other people as well in different stages of life throughout, the past however many years it's been since we've started this community group. I think that what we do well is that we just hang out often, and we have a big group text and we're like, hey, we're hanging out here on this day. And so creating an environment where there's open dialogue, there's conversations happening. And I think intentionality breeds intentionality. Right. And because of just us being who we are and the experience we had in college where we were able to see adults around us, older than us, having almost like a vision into the future of this is what life should look like with adult community. Just because we had that experience, we were able to kind of mimic that, mirror that into what it is now. And I think because we create that environment naturally, people gravitate, people that Sydney and Adrian, they joined the group, and it was a couple of weeks later, we don't even remember when they joined because it felt like they were old friends immediately. And I think that's because of the environment that we create.
Can I say something about Connor really quick? The first time, I think this was it's
getting choked up talking about me.
No, no, it's actually ridiculous. And this is how I know you were so comfortable with community, or you've done this before, because this is the second time I met you. I want to say you invited yourself over, probably, but I remember coming out of my room. I had just finished nursing Charlotte, and I just saw your feet and your head was in my fridge, looking for food. And I was I don't know his name, I don't think. But I was go for it. But I was raised in a pretty proper manor home, and I was I guess this is what these people do. But now it's very normal.
Yeah, deep down is what you wanted.
Yeah, I'm wait.
Let me just add, we weren't married yet, so
Really?
He was. Yeah, he lived here for 6 months before I got here. I was in grad school still. So we got married in June, and he started his job at Dell in January. So
2019.
Yeah. So I was just going to add to kind of what you said, Britt, about whenever you look back now and you're frustrated that you didn't let yourself. I think that's a lot of what people struggle with in terms of community and getting started with community. There's just this barrier that's going to be uncomfortable when you start. You walk into a group like ours and we're huge and we've been friends for years, but if you're willing to stick through the uncomfortable, first time meeting a friend, or, just a lot of people, first of all, that's a lot to walk into, but also you don't build relationships in one meeting. So if you come back consistently, even though you may not make best friends the first time or the third time, if you keep showing up, that is how you build any friend.
Yeah.
And so I think that vulnerability is one thing that keeps people from deep community, deep friendships. It's uncomfortable. No one wants to see their mess. And that's kind of what you struggled with, is everyone's seeing this messy side of me now, and that's the beauty of community. You get to see the mess, and you get to see the victories and the wins, and that's what brings us closer. It's the same as marriage too. You grow so much in your marriage whenever you aren't just on a high the whole time. You're fighting, but you're making up and you're moving forward, and you grow closer that way.
Yeah, my clap back to Lauren is that I think that I try to make people feel comfortable immediately when I meet them, and not that looking through a fridge is appropriate behavior.
I like it.
But I try to use sarcasm. I try to use fun to make people feel comfortable, as opposed to like sitting on the couch with my foot crossed over my knee with my tea, like being perfect.
Like make them come to you.
Yeah,
or,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I try to kind of bridge the gap with sarcasm and humor. So
if you're trying to be a good friend, go to their house unannounced, open up their fridge, and eat their food. All right, we'll see you for next week.
Well, like to that point, like how often do friendships that don't work out are the ones that are like, hey, are you free in 3 months on this Tuesday?
Passion point. That's one of the reasons why we couldn't find good communities, because so many people. It's interesting though too. Those are the same people that are like, I need more friends.
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't have time.
That's part of the inconvenience part.
Yes.
Part that we talked about.
You have to make time and effort for friends. And we were, so back to like kind of the story, like we were wanting people. That's what the issue was. Like we knew we needed it, but every time we would try to like, this isn't bashing anyone. I think there's a lot of people who just are differently wired too. I will say that. Like some people, like the thought of someone showing up at their house, it's like, do not do that. That is the way to lose me as a friend. But that's not how we were. Like we wanted that. We've always, that's how we were.
Doors unlocked, fridge is open.
Whatever. Your door's never unlocked. Please. That's me. Like, but she does want people always at least, to knock first.
Yeah.
And so but we wanted that. We both were raised in a similar way. And I think that was what we were looking for. And we just, every time it was like, it's just not what we feel like our marriage needs. And but there was also like something in us I think a lot of people struggle with is, like you said, putting in that time. I would say, I wanted that, but then I was also wanting a really great job, and I was wanting to like climb up in success, and I was wanting to follow my quote unquote dreams or passions. And it was so interesting, like in my 20s, like I would take that route, even though like deep down I would like see this world like of friends that I like missed from college and stuff. And I would still be like, I'm going to keep going though down this route of like success or whatever it is for someone else. And then I would get there and still be like, but I still feel like I'm empty. Like I feel like I'm still like not known by people. And it's like, what's the point of getting to do like really cool things? And really what we talked about in a previous episode is like, I was really craving, like y'all knew me, like y'all were my, also if you hear like weird bird sounding noises, it's Birdie, like cooing, like literally over here. So if you're not watching, it probably is like, who is making random weird noises? And so like, for me, I didn't even realize that at the time I couldn't articulate that. Like I didn't know, like I was trying to recreate like being around like Addie. I love what you just said of like, we're not going anywhere. That feeling of like safety is so rare. Of like, I'm even just thinking about future worst days or like the hardest days as like a parent, or like in our marriage there's gonna be worse days. Like there's gonna be hard seasons or like unexpected tragedy. And it's like, to know like we have found like I'm not going anywhere. And that doesn't necessarily mean like we didn't have that when we didn't live here with y'all, but it's just different when it's down the road, like there, like I can touch and hug and be there with these people, laugh with these people. So that's, I think we were longing for.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of hear some of your perspective, because you did not go to college. Like you grew up in Florida.
Yeah. I didn't go to college with you guys, but I was raised, my parents kind of raised me in a similar community. So although like I didn't know you guys, I knew that's something I longed to raise my kids in, because I was a product of that. And so after meeting you guys, I was like, this is awesome. Even from afar, we were like kind of always talked about Austin being somewhere where we would end up. And that is mostly because I saw how you guys did community. And that is what I was kind of raised in. So
can I ask a question off script? So I feel like in marriage, though, there's also times in marriage where one of the members feels very strongly like, and there was an element of trust and faith that had to be on your end, because that what Brooke was talking about, for me, I'm like, this is 13 years of friendship I'm walking into and getting to make even more awesome friends.
I also think it's personality too. I think similar to Lauren and Britt, like JD's kind of like who wants to listen to my mess? And I'm kind of like, okay, we just met them. Let's not say that just yet.
Totally.
So it's personality too.
And so like to the people right now who maybe one person feels like very strongly like we should move cities or we should move states, or man, I want to go live near my friends. Like, I think that's another interesting dynamic in marriage is like finding friends that both people like mesh well with. So what was that element of trust like for you? And what was that tension like for you of being like the new girl and the uncomfortable and all of that? What would you say to someone who's maybe in that position?
Well, just for, the little I knew about you guys at the time, I was like, well, I like that. So, and then the rest of it just takes time. Like, you got to stick with it. Like you were saying, like pushing through the uncomfortable, like that comes with time too. And I think some people just give up, whether that's not wanting to be vulnerable, or maybe like community not looking what they thought it was going to look like. And so they give up. And so I think it just has come as I've lived here. It's coming with time.
And I'll say is like we practice, like we are very traditional in the way that we value family and life. And like we believe I've told y'all in previous episodes, like we are all a part of like the Christian faith, and we believe that the men are called to be the leaders of the home. There was an element of me that, although I was like trying to lead us towards what I thought our marriage needed, like we need like this kind of community. She would say like, man, I know that you love them, but I don't even know them. And then like when she would say that, I'd be like, oh, trust me. But then when I would go like by myself in my car, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like what if none of them vibe? And like, what if she doesn't trust them? And what if I'm moving her here hoping for this? And then there's this element of like, and I think I would say one, like if you are a man and you've noticed your marriage is like struggling and you don't have people around you, like it might take that leap of pushing both you and your spouse into that uncomfortable. Sounds like Lauren was almost pushing Britt. So it could even be the wife, like leading in that way of saying, I really, really think we should do this. And then also like to Brooke's point, I think even let's just say you came in and like you vibed with no one. Community isn't necessarily about like just like vibing.
Yeah.
Because there are times with life on life, like, and I'm sure y'all could speak to this, like you're not going to always click with like, you can't be looking for the picture perfect friendship in everyone. Anyone have thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's so true. Like, I mean, think about, I don't know, when we met, for example, when we talked about this on other episodes, like we were completely different types of people, right? And like coming from completely different backgrounds. That's just the truth. You know that.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah,
I wear a neon hoodie every day.
Yeah. So you weren't like my, like,
you weren't my what?
You're my friend. Hi, you're my type. But for real, like from the outside looking in, you wouldn't really say those two guys are going to be close friends, right?
Right.
But I think, I don't think that mattered because we obviously shared, I talked about this on a previous episode, like a mutual pursuit of the Lord and pursuit of holiness. And we actually uncovered there were like a lot more things that we, connected over. But I just think it's important to, like Brooke said, I thought what you said was so good, is like just breaking through that initial like wall that exists. And we've seen that example come up on multiple occasions over the years with people in this community that have not been able to get past that initial barrier. And I just think that is so important because you just never know what you might connect with somebody on. Like me and you didn't connect on sports, which is like something I was heavily involved in. And a lot of my friends, were involved in. I didn't know anything about the video world. And then here we were making sports videos.
Still to this day.
Yeah.
Check us out.
So, but I think also, I think this would be valuable for y'all to share is like more specifically of like what y'all went through with like, you had just the example of how this played out in your life of like, y'all had a very big opportunity that was like a passion of yours. It was a really cool job opportunity. And can you share more about the like exactly what happened with y'all last year before y'all moved here?
Yeah. We so we knew this is what we wanted, and at the time I was in a job doing creative. I've been creative directing for like 10 years, I think, and was creative directing in Dallas, and we were wondering what was next. We were sensing like this isn't forever, like a forever job. And right around that time, I was offered just someone that, we'll just say like someone that everyone knows. And they were just this influential person that on the outside, if they were to like pursue you, you'd be like, any person is like, this is thousands of people's dream. Like, take it. Why are you even questioning it? But it would require us to move to Florida. And I had cool jobs before that. And I had remembered like, but what, like, how did I actually feel when I got there? And like, what did it actually bring me? And I remember I would always kind of like, is it called a litmus test? That's called?
Yeah.
How do you say that?
Sounds right.
Litmus.
Litmus? Litmus test, like, was like, I was always like, I really do think it always went back to like our community in college. Like, is this going to bring that we are communal beings, like you said, like, or even though this might pay better, it might look shinier, are we still going to be alone? And so I remember, like, a way I've put it is, like, they flew us out to Florida. It was how many months of interview process?
Probably like, honestly, almost 7 months.
Yeah, 7 months of interviews and meeting these people. They came to Dallas once, I met him, and then they flew us to Florida. I met him. And I remember walking away and I felt like God spoke to me. He said, if you take this job, it is what's best for JD. But if you, I missed out a bit part of the story, but let me back up. Sorry. The day they offered me, I was informed about another job in Austin. That was the big.
That was the
Tension,
crossroads.
Yeah.
For sure.
That was like everything I've said we've needed in our marriage is now on the table. But like, if y'all know the Enneagram, I'm an Enneagram 3, high achiever, like, and I'd kind of been like in a darker season professionally, like not feeling like I was really meeting my potential.
Yeah.
So this was like, it was like everything, like I used to see this person in like nosebleeds, like that's like, and now they're talking to me, like, and that does something to you. Like it brings like this spark of
Excitement.
Yeah, I remember we would like hang up and we'd both be like, can you
This
believe?
is crazy. Yeah.
I'm going to out her just a sec.
Oh.
Jenna used to post Facebook statuses about this person.
Oh my.
Jenna used to say she was going to marry them.
We're going to talk about this later.
This is going to be another podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
No, but you told what happened
What do you mean?
in your childhood.
I would like to say, people, first of all, before I said this, growing up in my church, people used to tell me that they would pray for me to marry this person. So it was placed on me first of all.
Obviously, again, you and like every other girl. Yeah, I was like thinking that. And I was like, what? That's a little weird. I have to think through that. But like, obviously, so on the outside, we were like, whoa, like this person knows our name. But on the inside,
Well, it boiled down to two things because we had conversations about like what do we want next in the season after coming out of a really hard season, and we boiled down to two things. One was a simple life. We kept hearing like things that we
simple.
would talk about that we want to slow down. We want something that's more simple. And then two was community. And so when we were given both offers, although one was like so amazing and absolutely crazy, we were like, will that be under the umbrella of simple and community? And could it have been? Sure, maybe. Like there's seasons of life where you have to create that for yourself. But when Austin was placed on the table, it was like those two
are we
values.
sure we said simple and community? That's like how it felt. Like this is, I mean, I'm a small town East Texas boy. Like it just felt like, is this it? Like, is this the moment? I don't know what that means, but then, like, if I think about the modern family, I think about like simple living and like community. I think like that's such a good embodiment of who we are. So it's just funny, obviously. Spoiler alert.
Here we are.
You know where we picked, but in this moment, I get the offer letter, find out about this job in Austin, and I'm like, oh no. So they say, I say, I just got a job offer. And they're like, can you come to Austin tomorrow and interview? And I was like, oh my gosh. So I drove to Austin. We talked for like 6 hours and I basically tell them everything. I'm like, here's the situation I'm in. And I say, I got an offer letter and they offered me that day. And I remember being like, oh no, like in this other job on the outside, comparatively, I love my job. I want to say that. I'm obsessed with my job. Everyone here knows it. Work for Birdie, shout out. Men's apparel brand. Hook up your men in your life. If you're a man, go check it out. But on the outside, again.
On paper, if anybody was just coming to look.
It's like,
why is this even a consideration?
Yes. On the surface. So now let's have y'all talk a little bit. So then what do? I bring it to y'all.
Well, we were in Nacogdoches. The day that you got the offer in Austin, we were in NAC.
Oh, yeah.
For our reunion. And I remember, so you had come to Austin before talking about the opportunity in Florida. And I remember being like, it kind of made me sad a little bit. Like I was stoked for you because it was so like, it was a sick opportunity, but I was also like, dang, like JD's going to live in Florida. Like we already have a hard enough time seeing each other like when you're in Dallas. And I remember feeling that way. I don't know if y'all felt that way too, but I was also super excited for you. And then when the Austin offer, when Birdie came up, it was like, there was like a, like this could be cool.
I feel like as soon as I heard that Birdie was an option, like knowing our group and how much you love and connect with this group, it was a no-brainer to me what you were going to decide.
I also feel like the difference in the way that you spoke about each of them with opportunity in Florida, it was like, this is big and this is shiny and this is what I should do, but I never felt a sense of peace from you about it. And then you would talk about Birdie and it was like, there were no cons to that, you know, except turning down the bigger opportunity.
Yeah.
But we all didn't feel that.
No, we didn't.
Okay, I want to preface. I've
Look at the camera and apologize.
I've cried tears about this.
She literally has sent me like 4 times voice memos crying.
Like randomly in the day. I'm just thinking about that one time.
Like, I can't believe I told you not to move here.
And okay, I also want to say like we it's not like we were stressed about this, but I remember we were looking at his 2 job opportunities, like we were his parents or something, and we were in your office and we were both like, it was like pros, cons, and we're like making lists or whatever.
Good friends.
So it wasn't like, we're like, yeah, go to Florida. I wonder if like, it's because the stage of life we're in, like we're kind of like landlocked with all these kids. And like, I don't know what Enneagram I am. I want y'all to tell me one day. But maybe I'm a 3.
You're a 7.
7. Okay, so I'm not a 3. But when I heard you say that, I just want to say like the heart behind me telling you like, I really think you need to go for this is because I was like, you only live once. Like, we're always going to be here if it doesn't work out. Like, go, fly. Like,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it wasn't like
it was for me, obviously.
I also want to say, like, by this time, like, y'all hadn't moved to Austin, but y'all had already become, like, some of our very best friends. And so I wanted you here, but that felt like the selfish answer. I was like, selfishly, I want you here. But for y'all, like, you got to do this. And now, what?
I was going to say, that was one of the reasons I was really nervous to give my opinion, is because it felt selfish. I wanted y'all to come here and I didn't want you to like miss out on something that could be possibly bigger. And so I was almost like overcompensating. I was like, I think you should go.
Yeah.
But like wanted you here. And so I just like,
and I think my personality obviously is different than Lauren's. Like because of the experience we had in college, like the opportunity to do that again, like to me was always a no-brainer because you knew what it was going to be like.
You're like, me? Or them? Come on.
I mean, I know that he's pretty, but
yeah. I love this like mystery.
Florida.
No, please don't. No, we're just trying to respect it. Like obviously that's not like, it's not to be like create. It's really not.
Yeah.
So all that to say, we get to this moment and back to what God spoke to me, this all moment. I was driving away. And I felt like God said, moving to Florida is the better move for JD, and moving to Austin is the better move for like your family and like for Jenna and for your kids and like life. Just because you get married doesn't mean that you're not selfish and like you don't still think about your own ambitions. And I remember in that moment being like, no, life isn't about the next cool thing for JD. Like, I've got to prioritize my family. And so, like, I guess we'll start to wrap up. Like, the burning question was like, now we are, if you're listening to this, this is the 1 year anniversary. I don't know if I said that at the beginning, but this is the 1 year anniversary of us moving to Austin. That's why we're not just like talking about ourselves for no reason. Like, this is the 1 year of us living here. And the question is, like, was it the right choice? And, like, you know, when you think about what you could be doing in Florida and in that job, and then we look at this year with these people, Jenna, what do you think?
Well, just kidding. No, absolutely. I mean, going back to those two values, like you said at some point in this episode, is just saying we're like the healthiest we've been in more ways than one. And I think that's because when we really sat down and really like, hey, this is the direction that we are wanting to go. We feel like God's calling us. And like, I didn't say this before, but I am born and raised from Florida. So like that was another factor too.
Yep.
Like, I've already experienced that before, like, and I loved it. So I feel like in this instance, God was actually, and as he does in some seasons, giving you the option to choose. And I feel like sometimes very clear, like, do this, go here. But for this, it was like a choice. And when we really sat down and had those two values and like, hey, this is what it all boils down to. I know the way we live our life right now, it's like absolutely was the right choice.
Yeah. Watching Ellery, like, I'm probably gonna cry every episode.
Two for two.
Yeah. Like,
Guys.
actually, the very first time we're like, because clearly, like, you still have doubts. Like, you see something on Instagram and you're like, whoa, I would be, you know, whatever you think those thoughts. But it was always so quickly like, but this is so much better. And I remember, it's you, Addie, Jenna got sick. We got sick a lot when we first moved here. And
Yeah.
you know what it was? We were around kids.
Yes.
The petri dish started.
Yeah, we went from like never being sick because we had no friends to like, why are we always sick? And it's like our bodies were just not used to like this many germs.
Literally.
And you got sick. And I guess we had to like text like we couldn't be somewhere or something because we were sick. And it was like, we opened the door and there was like food at the door.
Soup.
Good
Soup.
It was soup
from Addie.
And it's sad how astonishing that was to me.
Yeah.
I remember like, I think I cried. And I was like, someone down the road just made you soup because you're sick without asking. And since then, you've been sick multiple times. You've also gotten pregnant. And there's been like pumpkin bread brought. There's been eggs. There's been sourdough. There's been like all these things like.
And not just food. Y'all have really cared for us.
Not
and,
only
like,
that, like we meet weekly and we talk about hard things. Like I just told her on the way here this morning, like I was like, we all shared we do a Bible study every Thursday night and I shared something and Britt wasn't there, but as soon as I got done sharing, I think a lot of people would have been like, yeah, everyone checked in, like, thank you for sharing. And I was like, it was crazy watching Aaron and Connor like move over to like a seat across from me. And y'all both like just started like going, like caring for me. Like it was like instinct, like just deeper. Like Aaron, you like said something like that I told her just really meant a lot to me. And it was like, wow, like we have this weekly rhythm of these people and it's changed our lives. It's changed our family. And like, I'm excited to bring a second kid into all of this because it's like, now we didn't get to experience this with having our first, like that was us alone too. So now getting to do that with you guys with Lennox in June is just going to be amazing. So first off, yes, an astounding, yes, it was the right choice, obviously. And you can say something, we can wrap up.
I want to say something real quick is I just want to say like props to y'all for number one, for you having the humility to like take time, understand like what your family needed versus like what the obvious choice was for your like career path. like just the humility to like slow that down and consider your family. I think that can be rare sometimes. And I think it's easy as a man to get caught up in this like stream of success. So I'm just like proud of you for just having the humility to like consider that, number one. Number two, Jenna, for you, it's like amazing how just supportive you were in either facet, where it was like, hey, either way we go here, like I'm here, I'm with you, let's do it. And I don't know, I felt that as JD was like wrestling with this, that you were just that steady presence of like, hey, like it's going to be great either way. And obviously it's been a huge blessing. Like your work has been amazing. You work with like an amazing group of people. And that's, I think, God's way of just taking that decision of, you know, taking the time to hear from him, that he can use not only like the community for great things, but also like your career is on a really cool path and you're working with a great group of people.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome. And and it's like crazy. We're just a year in. Like, I don't even know like what it's going to be like in a year. And I love that our kids have aunts and uncles and they have, you know, cousins and all of those kind of things. And so I would just say, wrapping up, like to the person who, and maybe we can all just give, like, if you have any words to say, we can be done. Like, if you are someone that right now, like you're at the decision of like, what do we need to do? Like, I hear what they're saying and like, I desire that. I guess I'll just leave it to y'all. Like, what would y'all encourage someone? Like, what is it worth? Like, what I feel like so many people could be like, well, you don't know my situation or this or that. And I know what I would say, but what would y'all say to that person who knows they want this and needs it, but like doesn't even know how or when?
I can go first. I was going to say, initiate it if you don't have it. I feel like it's like, we're so thankful that we joined an established group here. But if you don't have it, I know that can be such a hard position to be in, to be the first person to kind of like spearhead something. But I would say, if you want this, and initiate it and find people, similar values, people that you want to do life with, and just start getting something going that way.
It's good.
I want to add to that, after like you initiate it, like I think a very important piece to all this is like finding other people who want it as much as you, because I feel like we have this community, but we have other friends, and like it's just not a priority. But if I think everyone wants to be known, and everyone deep down like craves community. And I think that's what we've learned is like deep down we want it, but you got to find people who are like actively like wanting to chase it with you, because it just makes it so much easier. Like calling y'all last minute, you want to grab dinner, and like we're hang out till like 1 a.m. or whatever, like, but it's not weird or a big deal. Like last minute hangs, or people who are just down and like really wanting the same things that you're wanting.
Yeah. I can say I can't speak into as much of like initiating it, because we were super fortunate that y'all had already.
We didn't give you a choice.
Yes. I didn't really get a choice, and y'all had already kind of got the ball rolling.
My food.
But just from like watching how this community group has just affected us, watching JD make this decision and focusing on like his family first and the current state, but also like raising kids and what that looked like, and just prioritizing that, because I feel like you can hear stories and you can read things like, oh, they made a cool decision, but watching it and experiencing it, and also being affected like positively by like our family getting closer and like being able to get spoken into, and just seeing how important it is from the day we started, of how important community is, and then also how important it's been just to like have y'all be closer to us and live even more of like a daily life with y'all. It's been huge. So I can't emphasize enough how important the community is.
Yeah.
Can I just add one thing?
Yeah.
I just think, so for the person who is like searching for it and really maybe having a hard time finding it, like we have years of history, so it was natural for us. But people who don't have that, like find a friend in your neighborhood, find someone at church that you click with and that you enjoy being around, and start with like a weekly dinner or like a bi-weekly dinner or walk or something that's like normal and consistent, and just like don't stop asking to get together. And that's where you got to start. Like our college community group started from you two and blew up, and we're here today because of like y'all's friendship. And it's a really beautiful thing that can start from two people just starting a conversation and,
That's a great point.
That's such a good point.
I want to say one thing. I think that just over here, like, I think doing the podcast is having me like reflect a lot, and just like listening to my best friends talk about their experience. The one thing that I think JD does really well, and other people in this group that's taught me, is that community isn't about you. Like, community isn't about like my cup to fill. Like, hearing y'all talk about like y'all are super impacted by just soup at your front door. Like, I think that one thing that JD has taught me is that people are interesting, people are unique, and people are worth listening to. And I think that compounded over time has given me an appreciation and a love just for people in general, and be able to look outside of myself. Like, what can I get out of this person, as opposed to how can I help this person? How can I get to know this person? So that's what you've taught me the most, I think.
Oh, thanks, Con. So nice. Well, we are so glad we chose Austin. And like, guys, I would just say, like, wrap up with like, if you don't have it, find it, fight for it, do whatever it takes, because it'll change everything. So thank y'all so much for listening, and we will see you on the finale next week. All right, see ya. Bye.
Later.
See ya.